crazy. There's a lot of division. There's a lot of separation. There's a lot of sides over here and over there.
When En Vogue hit the scene, they were topping charts. But the story that came after all that success will leave you devastated. It all kicked off when some of the ladies started speaking up about how the management was treating them.
We shouldn't have had that financial situation.
Right, that's the main thing.
En Vogue, exactly. And we had sold millions on the first album. I remember when we first came back from when we were back in the States from...
Soon, the tension slowly started pulling the group apart, and a few members felt they had no choice but to step away.
Initially, it was a slightly sad experience, but Dawn wanted to pursue her solo career, and we respected that.
And just when we thought things couldn't get worse, all kinds of legal problems started showing up, and a few members even ended up homeless. There's a lot to cover. Let's unwrap. En Vogue was blowing up in the 90s. They had several #1 hits and 2 multi-platinum albums, but their journey actually started way back in 1988. That was when 4 women, Maxine Jones, Cindy Herron, Terry Ellis, and Dawn Robinson, walked into an audition room in Richmond, California, not knowing their whole lives were about to flip.
Hey, I'm Cindy Herron.
And I'm Maxine Jones.
I'm Terry Ellis. And I'm Dawn Robinson.
And this is En Vogue.
The whole idea started with 2 music producers, Denzel Foster and Thomas McElroy. They wanted to create something fresh, a girl group that mixed the classy charm of 50s and 60s groups like the Supremes with the newer R&B sound. They loved the idea of a trio, just like the classic girl groups, and they had a clear picture in their heads. The girls had to be beautiful, but not overly glamorous, smart, but not nerdy, and when they opened their mouths to sing, people had to be stunned. They dreamed big. A group as exciting as legends like Gladys Knight, Diana Ross, and The Emotions. They even imagined the hair, the outfits, the whole vibe before they found a single singer.
Well, while we were in Club Nouveau, we were always talking about, me and Tommy myself was talking about starting a girls group because there wasn't any out at the time. It was a few pop acts, but...
To bring the vision to life, they held auditions all around the Bay Area. They were originally hunting for 3 girls, and after seeing about 3,000 hopefuls, they narrowed it down to 5 finalists. Maxine Jones was one of them. She was working as a hairdresser in Oakland at the time, and had done some background vocals before, but funnily enough, she wasn't even invited to the audition. She just showed up and impressed them. Cindy Herron was another finalist. She already had some shine on her, even being featured as Jet Magazine's Jet Beauty of the Week. Then there was Dawn Robinson. She was only 20, but had already been performing in clubs since she was 12. During her audition, she sang Waiting on You, which later ended up as the final track on En Vogue's debut album.
It was one of the songs on the album, Waiting on You, and it was also on FM Squared album, Denny and Tommy's album.
Which is actually the audition.
Oh,
it was actual audition.
You're kidding.
It's a song we
You all was that bad.
And finally, Terry Ellis. She had been doing studio work in Houston when a friend told her about the audition in California. She didn't even have the money for the trip, but she used her rent money to fly to Oakland the next day. That's how serious she was. Foster and McElroy tried mixing and matching the voices in different combinations, but the magic really happened when all 4 women sang together. Their original trio idea went out the window immediately. They knew they had something special.
So they were auditioning for, were they specifically looking for 4 young ladies, or were they just trying to see what they could catch?
Actually, it was 3.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be
3.
Yeah, 3 young ladies, but they couldn't let us go.
Yeah,
but,
we played so well together.
Yeah.
Maxine, Cindy, Terry, and Dawn were told they made the group, and they were over the moon. After that, the 4 of them signed a 7-year production deal with Foster and McElroy's company, Two Tough Enough Productions. As part of their deal, the girls were promised $5,000 up front and another $5,000 after finishing their album. They were also told they'd get 2 cents for every album sold. So if the group sold 1 million copies, each girl would only make around $20,000. They were also introduced to their new manager, David Lombard. who managed Denzel and Tommy too. They were told he would take care of them, and they were happy to have someone guiding them through the business side of things. Recording their debut album wasn't easy. They spent long days and nights in the studio, learning, practicing, and trying to get everything right. During this time, they became really close. Terry, Maxine, and Dawn shared an apartment in Oakland while they worked on the album. Cindy had her own place, but she was always around. Even though they lived in different places, the chemistry between them was strong, and they all worked hard to make the album special. At first, the group was supposed to be called For You, but the name was already taken. Then they tried Vogue, but that one was taken too, so they finally settled on En Vogue. The funny thing is, at that time, they didn't even dress or look like the glamorous style the name suggested. Then, in April 1990, En Vogue released their first album, Born to Sing. Their debut single, Hold On, blew up instantly. It hit number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and introduced the world to their sound. The song's a cappella intro, with Terry singing a powerful version of the Jackson 5's Who's Loving You, showed everybody how strong their vocals were. After that, more hits followed. Lies, You Don't Have to Worry, each climbing the charts and making En Vogue one of the hottest groups at the time. Their success brought awards too. They won a Billboard Award for R&B Single of the Year and a Soul Train Award for R&B Urban Contemporary Single of the Year. They were even nominated for a Grammy for Best R&B Vocal Performance by a duo or group. They didn't win. Ray Charles and Chaka Khan took that one. But even then, the ladies were already cementing their place in music history. Still, behind the scenes, everything wasn't perfect. In 1991, they went back to the studio to work on their second album. Even though they were now famous, their pay didn't change at all. They still got the same $5,000 up front, $5,000 after the album was done, and just 2 cents for every record sold.
No. So what we got on the first album, we got on the second album, and the second album was even bigger than the first, and we're still getting the same money, and it was ridiculous. There was a lot going on. It was like, we weren't making the kind of money that I thought we should make at the caliber of group that we were. Right. 2 pennies per girl just to me was insane.
Dawn said she was excited when she got her first $5,000 check, but getting that same amount again after all their success felt disrespectful. To make things worse, they were told they couldn't write any songs for the new album. That meant no songwriting royalties, which was a huge loss financially. The producers were fully in control. Dawn said they were so busy performing and working that they didn't even have time to write. Tommy and Denny handled most of the work and played finished songs for them. The girls liked the songs, so they went along with it. Dawn started noticing something that didn't sit right with her. En Vogue was making a lot of money for everyone around them, but before any of the girls got paid, Denzel, Tommy, and the label were taking a huge chunk. Even though the group was successful, Dawn couldn't shake the feeling that they were being taken advantage of.
When we were back in the States from our first time overseas abroad, I took our manager backstage because I was confused. I'm like, we just did these major shows overseas. All of these fans are screaming for us around the world. And I asked him, I said, David, how come we're not making money? And he's walking with his hands behind his back. And he said, that's a pie in the sky. I said, but David, we already sold all these millions of records on our first album. Like, when we just came home, we saw how the fans feel.
Some of the other women didn't want to complain. They were scared of what might happen if they spoke up. Dawn didn't think it was fair to be the only one raising concerns, but she also felt like someone had to say something. While they were on tour with MC Hammer, Dawn found out the group was only making 2 cents per album. Hammer stepped in and arranged a meeting with the group and a business lawyer. The lawyer told them straight up that their deal was unfair and that they should be earning way more.
Because I hear so many people saying good things about Hammer helping them, like Pepper from Salt and Pepper has talked about. He helped them renegotiate a better rate. His brother told them what to say, Stanley Burrell.
Yes.
Dawn wanted everyone to know she wasn't just thinking about herself. She cared about the whole group. She even went to their accountant to ask where all the money was going. She wasn't trying to fix just her own contract. She wanted to make sure everyone understood they were all in the same situation. Dawn truly believed all four of them had the same bad deal, so if she spoke up, it was for all of them. She and Maxine had late-night phone calls planning to reach out to Cindy and Terry and explain how unfair everything was. But when Dawn followed up with Maxine, she was shocked to hear that Maxine had already called Denny on her own. And of course, Denny had no interest in renegotiating anything. From his side, everything was fine. But for the women of En Vogue, it definitely wasn't. Then, on top of the money issues, things started getting messy in 1993. Luther Vandross invited them to open his 77 show Never Let Me Go tour, but things fell apart quickly. They skipped an appearance on the Arsenio Hall show, which upset Luther.
Luther Vandross wanted us to perform together and do a performance for Arsenio Hall. We loved the idea, we wanted to do it, but we couldn't do it, and we tried to figure out.
Then fans complained they couldn't see En Vogue on his rotating center stage setup, and the group wanted to adjust their band placement, but Luther said no. Wardrobe became another fight. They were told not to wear black, red, or white. These were Luther's signature colors, but they ignored it, leading to a major clash.
That Luther had even asked us to go on tour with him. We couldn't wear any of the primary colors. Black, white, red, no primary colors. We couldn't.
Luther even put up curtains to avoid them, and they walked right through. Eventually, the tension got so bad the group left the tour early. Police were even called over a trespassing claim. Luther's team tried to blame Cindy's pregnancy, but the group denied it. Cindy later said their choreography was too restricted and they didn't have the money to make big production changes because they were still stuck in an old contract. Even with all the drama, En Vogue continued to shine. In 1993, they featured on Salt and Peppa's hit, What a Man, which became a top 10 hit and is still a classic. They also released an EP called Runaway Love, which did pretty well. But behind the success, cracks were starting to show again. Dawn, who was managing the group at the time, kept encouraging the ladies to stand up to the label. She believed that if they refused to record anything, the label would eventually have to listen and renegotiate their contract. Cindy and Maxine agreed with the idea, but things changed when the label offered Terry a solo album. Terry decided to take the opportunity, and that was the beginning of the group drifting apart. She became the first member to step out and start a solo career. Terry's solo album Southern Gal dropped in 1995. It gave her a top 10 R&B hit, Wherever You Are. The album didn't blow up the way the label expected, but it showed that Terry was carving out her own path. Meanwhile, En Vogue was still trying to stay active. They even made a cameo in the 1995 movie Batman Forever, which kept them in the spotlight for a bit. By that time, their contract with the label was over, and the group was hoping a new deal would work better for them. But trouble was already brewing. By the late 90s, tension in the group was growing. After Terry's solo project came out, the label offered Dawn a solo deal too, but her project was later canceled. Dawn was frustrated, and it made the group's situation even messier. She couldn't understand why Terry's album got full support, but hers didn't. She felt like she had worked hard and wasn't being taken seriously. And there were two ways to see it. Either the label wanted to keep Dawn tied to the group so she wouldn't keep raising issues about contracts, or they saw Terry's album didn't perform well and didn't want to risk another solo project. Whatever the reason was, Dawn was disappointed. She made a deal with Sylvia Rhone that she would stop recording her solo debut if she could keep her solo rights for later.
Terry's album didn't work, and so she was like, no, we're going to scratch Dawn's album, we're going to go back in and do an En Vogue album. I was like, wait a minute. You messed with the wrong girl, because I took it very serious to do a solo album.
Then, in 1996, En Vogue recorded Don't Let Go, Love, for the movie Set It Off. During the recording sessions, Dawn started hearing rumors that her place in the group wasn't secure. The label didn't want her singing lead on the song because they thought she was planning to leave. They even tried pushing for Cindy, Terry, or Maxine to take the lead instead. But the thing is, Dawn's voice sounded too good on the track. They couldn't deny it. She had to be on the song. Even though the label wasn't sure at first, Don't Let Go, Love, became a massive hit. It went top 10 in several countries and brought a lot of attention back to En Vogue. That success pushed Sylvia Rhone to start work on the group's third album. But things behind the scenes were still complicated. Later, Rhone called the whole group into a meeting with their lawyers and staff. By then, Dawn had already signed a solo deal with Interscope under Dr. Dre.
I got to the meeting and I was offered a contract. You sign this contract, a 2-year contract, or get out. And I was like, wait a minute.
So you were given
There's
an
no
ultimatum.
ultimatum. Yeah, and to me that's not a compromise. It's not a choice. Because I kept saying, well,
Sylvia wanted the group to commit to working together for 2 more years while they made the next album. Cindy, Terry, and Maxine agreed. Dawn didn't. She felt she wasn't getting the same support Terry got, and she felt betrayed by both the group and the label. She didn't want to commit, so she said no. That decision led to Dawn being pushed out of the group.
Sylvia Rhone wanted an agreement from us that we were going to honor our contract.
Commit to doing this work with us for 2 years, put everything on the back burner.
The others said she left on her own, but Dawn felt like she had been forced out. Either way, it was a sad moment. Don't Let Go, Love, ended up being the last song and video Dawn appeared on with En Vogue. And looking back, the whole situation wasn't just about music. It was about loyalty, fairness, and trust. Dawn wanted a real chance at her solo career, and it didn't line up with what the group or the label wanted. She didn't feel supported, so she walked away. Her exit showed how tough it is when personal dreams clash with group goals. In 1997, En Vogue released EV3. The album had hits like Whatever and proved the group could still make good music without Dawn. But the vibe wasn't the same. The reviews were mixed, and even though the album did well, it just didn't hit the way their earlier ones did. Something felt missing. By 1999, Dawn had moved on and joined a new group, Lucy Pearl, which did really well and even went gold. Meanwhile, En Vogue kept changing members. Maxine left in 2001, and Cindy and Terry brought in new singers. Amanda Cole joined for a short time, and then Rhona Bennett came in 2003. Rhona stayed, but fans still missed the original chemistry. Even though the group kept releasing music, their new albums didn't come close to the success of their early days. The late 90s and early 2000s were rough for En Vogue. In 2008, fans got excited when all 4 original members reunited for a tour. For a moment, the old magic came back. The harmonies, the energy, the chemistry. Fans loved seeing them together again. But the reunion didn't last. Old issues popped up again, and Dawn left in 2011. Maxine left not long after. Cindy and Terry kept going and brought Rhona back, but the drama continued. In 2012, Cindy and Terry took Dawn and Maxine to court, saying they were performing under the En Vogue name without permission. The court sided with Cindy and Terry, leaving them as the only ones allowed to use the name. Dawn and Maxine tried to form a new group called Heirs to the Throne, but it didn't last. In 2018, Cindy, Terry, and Rhona released Electric Cafe. Fans really enjoyed it, and it got positive reviews. Then, in 2019, all the original members reunited again, and this time for a cancer research benefit concert. It was a special moment for fans who missed seeing the original lineup together. Even with all the ups and downs, En Vogue's legacy remains strong. They helped shape 90s R&B and inspired a lot of girl groups that came after them. Their music is still loved, and their influence is undeniable. No matter the challenges, En Vogue will always be remembered for their talent, their voices, and the mark they left on music.